Good afternoon, Bill.
G'day, Mark. How are you today? Right.
Chilly after 2 days of glorious sunshine, whizzing down the Great Ocean Road, looking at the area that the Great Ocean Road Coast and Parks Authority manages.
Of which you're on the board of.
Which I'm on the board of. And today's gone the other way. It's freezing.
Well, you probably weren't up, but I was up at 5 o'clock, as usual. And then when the sun came up, you know the old saying, red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning, which means, and down on the river and rowing again, the farmers in the cruise said it's going to be wet this afternoon.
So who's today, Bill? Who are we having a good chat with?
Today we're talking to Tom Hynes, who is the CEO of a company called Symphony3 Proprietary Limited. And I will declare that I had a early involvement with it when this business started. And we, in the past, we have actually conducted a podcast with Fergal Coleman, who is, Tom, is he the managing director or
what? Director, Bill, absolutely, and obviously one of the co-founders.
Founding director he is, that's right.
Yes.
And that was a good chat too.
Yes, it was. And of course, since then, I've kept running into Tom at the Celtic Club and more recently at the British Lions Wallabies lunch, which was a good day, wasn't it, Tom?
Absolutely, Bill, and very nice to catch up with you finally, and nice to meet you, Mark.
Thank you. And a shared love of Guinness, do I detect in this? No? Okay.
Well, I didn't realise how much I loved it till I started working with Fergal.
So Tom, we'll kick off. Where was primary school for you all those years ago?
Primary school and high school actually was Niddrie Primary, moving next door to Niddrie High, so sort of nestled between Keilor and Essendon and Tullamarine. So spent all of my schooling life in basically one area right next door to the other. So good fond memories. Wasn't too good in terms of the results from that period of time, but great memories.
And while you were at high school, did you have any casual jobs or?
Not so much casual jobs. I guess I had a vision that I was going to go on to be in the sporting arena. So most of my time was spent either training and playing cricket or in the winter with football. Had a couple of little part-time jobs at a local tyre place, but not too much. So I managed to convince my parents that, this was a good investment in my time. It didn't quite work out like that, though, after beyond high school.
Right, and what is your claim to fame in sport then, Tom?
Early on, I thought I had a little bit of an ability in cricket, and I really love it. I still love to watch the game. But towards when I got a little bit older, I focused on football and played a little bit in the Essendon district, had a bit of a go at the under-19s in Essendon, but developed some injuries early on and never really overcome them. So after that, I kind of focused a little bit in gym and fitness that way. So haven't done too much competitive sports since those early days.
So a brilliant football career was cut short by injury.
We'll
correct?
go with that.
Is that the headline?
Yes, please.
And so were you thinking in those days that sporting was the career you would have?
I really did think that, and in that way, I often think back, I really didn't pay too much attention to my schooling. I was convinced I had a great passion for it, and I thought that's the way things would go, but really got to the end of high school and then thought, okay, what now? Knew I didn't want to go on to further studies at that stage.
Yep.
So I fairly quickly landed a job in telecom, as it was called then, in Telstra. And I guess that was a period where probably grew up a fair bit, worked pretty hard, travelled a lot in those days. I was working for the engineering division, so they were rolling out new technology across the state. So I got to experience life on the road a bit, working very hard, and kind of realised, all right, I need to do something more with my life at that point.
So that was your, as Bill would call it, your tipping point.
Yes, absolutely. It's not. I loved the time, but I knew there was something more for me, and it was at that stage I did return and do a little bit of study, and I was really particularly interested in technology.
Yep.
And so I did some computer courses, a little bit of programming, so in the early 80s. And I knew I enjoyed it, but I knew that wasn't for me. And I was really lucky that at that stage I was still working for Telstra, and they were one of the first companies in Australia that were rolling out a new enterprise resource programming system, SAP, which is a very big multinational product that's still used by most large companies in the world. And I was invited to go onto that project, and I guess my whole life really changed from that point. I spent the next couple of years working on that and eventually got offered a job by a small boutique consulting house, and I moved across into that. And then from then on, I've been involved in technology programs across various industries for the rest of my life, sort of combined with business consulting.
Yeah, Tom, Mark, looking through your profile, the words that come up all the time, you're in supply chain, and that isn't it interesting? That was the buzz. They were the buzzwords of not long ago. Of course, they've been overtaken by AI. And advanced engineering comes up in your profile, and design innovation comes up in your profile. So that all fits with what you just said.
I think bringing technology, and in particular, I think by the time I'd kind of got qualified on the platform I was working on, SAP at the time, there was a big push into beyond Telstra. The mining companies were looking to take it on, and what really attracted me that was the next age of bringing integrated business processes, using technology to streamline what we did. And I was kind of drawn into the whole supply chain in particular, so I specialised early on in that. And ultimately, out of that, I started up a small boutique consulting specialising in supply chain and logistics, and that went for about 10 years. And that was a great experience in terms of going from, developing your own business and all the things that go with that. So a challenge being, but really rewarding 10 years after I kind of got the grounding in the game.
So at one stage there also you'd had a stint at BHP, is that right?
That was part. So in the early 90s, I'd moved across to Perth, and obviously being very mining orientated city, there was a lot going on with various different mining companies, and BHP ultimately rolled out the SAP product globally, and I spent over 10 years contracting through my own business to BHP on their various projects, which actually took me to most of their operations globally. So that was a tremendous opportunity to experience different cultures, different ways of working, all under the banner of bringing new technology and ways of working. So really, really good memories of those times.
It's interesting, SAP. I as soon as you mentioned it, I shuddered. I've been in two businesses that implemented SAP, and my best description, and people that deal with SAP sort of agree. I'll be interested to see your comment. It's unforgiving. If you don't do it the right way, it just will not. You can't adapt. You have to follow the SAP process.
And it's true.
And this retail business I was in, I think there was a 3-month hole in our financials that for years afterwards we could never work out what was missing, because there was this gap as we switched over from one side to it was look, a fair bit of it was our own fault, I'm sure, but yes, it was unforgiving always pops into my head when I hear SAP.
Absolutely. Well, it obviously born out of Germany. Theoretically, incredible product, well thought through, well designed. But as you say, for manufacturing originally, but as you say, somewhat difficult to always get that transition from old into that environment, and then being able to use it without the flexibility to adapt across different industries. I certainly agree that there's been lots of struggles in actually bringing it into the phase where it's really delivering great value. But when you get it right, it's very powerful.
Yeah, is it still out there in a big way, Tom? Is it still
Absolutely, yes. Most of the large mining, lots of the banks, yes, very much still. I think it's in the top 30 by market cap globally, so very significant company still.
Yep.
I know, Tom, I had a look not long ago at a small enterprise part of SAP for a smaller company.
Oh, yes.
But like Mark, having at one stage run a division of a large organisation who went through the changeover, I thought, no, I couldn't put this small company through this.
No.
It would never work. That's right.
I'm not sure they've ever cracked, the top end of town, certainly still really relevant, still powerful, still delivering some interesting things. But once you go down the chain, it's a little bit in terms of fitting those other market segments. I don't know that they've really cracked it. And there's been some great success stories that have filled that void, that's for sure.
All right, so then in that journey, so once you left BHP, you obviously had some roles in supply chain and everything else. But I'm really interested to learn from you how you ended up at where you are now as CEO of Symphony3 Proprietary Limited.
Yeah, I often ask myself that same question, Bill. I spent 10 years of my life with SMEC, Snowy Mountain Engineering Company, who are an iconic Australian business. So after my BHP stint, SMEC were looking to take their design engineering business and be able to play a role in the longer-term management of what they built. So I come in there and was supporting them being able to deliver services to the assets they built effectively. So that took 10 years of my life, and it was a great time where we rolled out that service across the globe. That time come to an end. I think it was around 2020, and I actually got sick at the time. I had cancer. So over the next year or two, sort of went through a series of operations and realised, well, that kind of lifestyle that I had before had come to an end, and it was time to do something different, and actually wasn't quite sure what that would be. Never really saw myself as a CEO, and kind of the types of roles that I had been kind of more back office, not so much in the head job. But the opportunity come along when I was looking for what was the next challenge, and I was introduced to Fergal and the rest of Symphony3, and it was at the stage of my life where I was looking for a variation of what I'd done and be able to use those skills, but also work with a team where we could create something quite unique. Very interested in being able to play a role in serving the local community and how we can make a difference in the communities we live in. And of course, Symphony3 had been on the journey for about, at that stage, since 2011. So I come on board in 2023, and they were looking to scale and really leverage what they'd built. And my role was to come in and work with them and say, well, how can we do that? And I think it was good timing for both of us. And since then, we've kind of been really working really hard into the local government, which is our key target industry, and helping them digitise their services and their offering to the community.
Yeah, well, Tom,
so that's kind of how it happened.
I was talking to Mark before, and I said, so how do you describe what your business is? And really what's happened is you made great inroads into local council, local government.
Yes.
And I described it of you were putting systems and processes and data flow design into local council, and you're actually, in my opinion, you're into AI before AI was AI. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think that's all part of it, Bill. We provide a technology platform that allows any business, including councils, have lots of different systems, but they're not always, and more so as time goes on, not also necessarily connected. So we provide a service and a platform to help them connect them, which ultimately means that we can move data around to different departments effectively, digitally, and you can imagine with that combined with some of the possibilities in AI, we were really early adopter of how do we make this superpowered for councils to change how services are delivered to their communities, but also to their people. And of course, we've been working on 9 proof of concepts for councils over the last 6 months, and we look like being able to take them into a production environment for 2 of them in the next month. So really exciting times to kind of bring together our technology overlaid with AI, which is going to be a game changer over time, but it will take some real effort from each of our customers and us to be able to navigate that effectively, so you've got all the safeguards and you do it well and it's effective and it's good and solid investment.
So Thomas, what exactly do you provide? Give us an example of linking things up, linking the data up.
One of the examples is most councils will have, all councils will have a website. We can provide a website if that's what they need. It's one of the services.
Yep.
Within that website, they'll have some digital forms. Once again, we can provide the digital forms. It's not the core business, but we can provide the digital forms, which mean, for example, you might need a service from the council. So a resident anytime can jump onto the internet, whether it be on a mobile or the website, go to request a service. That service, that digital form can be any nature of things. The councils offer lots and lots of services. What our product does will pick up if they're requesting a bin replacement, that will take that data after the form is submitted and channel that into the right back-end system so that the bin can be arranged to be dropped off and automatically update the customer that that's on the date that that's going to happen. They could be asking for information about their rates notice, for example, and wanting clarification back from the rates area. We'll be able to navigate that, pop it through to the right area, update the correct system, so then that information can be provided back without necessarily, in the first instance, any human contact. So kind of digitising that process. So that's one example of how our system plays.
So with the introduction
Keep going.
Sorry. Keep going.
I was just going to say an example how AI is overlaid with that is we're about to deliver a heritage chat agent for Bendigo Council, and that will allow internally at first and possibly being able to release this out to residents and that they're able to take all the relative heritage documentation within the boundaries of Bendigo Council and being able to query certain aspects of heritage overlaid, maybe for a particular address or a particular requirement, and then the chat agent will be able to go and interrogate all that documentation and come back with references where they may need to go and follow up, which would considerably cut down time and investigation by those people within the council.
So the AI agents is adding that extra level of automation, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
So that bin lid example, in fact, the only human connection in there would probably be someone popping the bin lid on the back of the truck and taking it out to the customer.
100%, yeah.
And everything is seamless. And if someone wanted to know how many bin lids have we replaced this month, it would generate that and say, oh, you've got a problem with your bin lids. So
exactly, yeah. And which frees up, all other services to be kind of provided where we can automate some of these, and the residents happier because they've not had to wait on a phone or go in, and the council's happy because it's streamlining those processes for them.
Tom, what was the first council you ever got a contract from?
Now, that's a very good question, but it was long before I come along, and I have spoken to Fergal about this before, but I think Golden Plains may have been one of the very first, and they're still, I'm very proud to say, still a council that are on our platform and we're still working closely with.
And I think you would have Kingston been one of your early ones?
Yes, that would be right.
Because the chair of your board was the next CEO of the City of Kingston. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
And so where do you see this leading? 5 years' time, where will Symphony 3 have morphed into? Where do you see it heading?
We would we would like to have every council in Australia and New Zealand using our integration platform and giving them the power to be able to use systems. They might this year want to replace a system, put a new one in, and our platform will allow them to do that far more quickly, effectively, and put them in control and give them efficiencies that will help them to deliver better and improved services out to their customers. So we would like to be in every council with our platform and providing them with a really strong integration which will continue to deliver value. And then sitting over that, we'll roll out more and more specific chat agents that will help them to create efficiencies within each of their departments.
Well, you're talking a language now, Tom, about agents and all that sort of thing. And only last Friday we've got a monthly directors group that meet once a month. Our guest speaker was talking about chat agents and all sorts of things, and we now realise what we don't know. So we're getting him back again for our next meeting to help us navigate this whole new world as it is called AI.
I'll definitely have to listen in on that one because I think we're all still learning, Bill, and it's changing very quickly.
It's true, isn't it? And I think back probably, when did ChatGPT first announce itself? About 3 years back? Sort of.
Yeah, it's no more than that,
It's no more than that. And I remember sitting in at a lunch and there was 12 people at the table, and I'd been reading about ChatGPT and being somebody that sticks their nose into this sort of stuff because I love it. I started playing with it and thought, this is amazing. It's Google on steroids. And then I at the table, I asked the people around the table, how many of you have heard of ChatGPT? And only one person out of the 12, and they worked at a TAFE. And they were trying to get their heads around, do they encourage student use? How do they watch out for people writing things that aren't, all the things that have been chatted about? Come forward to a year ago, same sort of place, same sort of group of 12 people. And I said, how many of you? And they all put their hands up and they all went, it's fantastic. And the TAFE people went, yep, we encouraged the use of it because at the end, they still have to give us the information that we require for them to understand and pass their course. They still have to pass their exams.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take away from that. It just means that they've got a tool that helps them get the information together. So it's interesting. It's evolving rapidly, isn't it?
Tom, how many employees have you got at Symphony3? Because I think you also use contractors, don't you?
Not too many contractors anymore.
Yeah.
There's 3 contractors.
Yeah.
There's one of those based overseas, all the rest are here, and we've got 17 employees, and the vast majority in Melbourne, but we've got one in Brisbane, one in Sydney, and one in Perth. So basically full-time employees, majority based out of Australia.
And are you dealing with councils all over Australia, Tom?
Yes, we're originally, I'd say for the first 10 years, predominantly in Victoria.
Yep.
We're accelerating outside of Victoria now and got councils, Queensland, New South Wales, WA, and in New Zealand we're working with 2 councils now. So our growth in the last couple of years beyond Victoria is accelerating, which is quite exciting. And it just proves that although there are some variations within states, what we do is equally applicable and relevant to those councils. So exciting times ahead.
And you plenty of opportunity still in Vic. Have you got 50% of councils on board, or are you still pushing hard there?
I guess we're up to about a third in Victoria. So there's still a bit of work for us to do. It takes a little while to work through the sales cycle in terms of what we deliver. It's a very big decision for councils to make, and you want to do it thinking long term. We're in lots of discussions, and so that's looking really positive. We're really active in the industry through the LG Pro industry sector. Algam is another one that we're participating in, working with our councils, contributing back beyond just the product, but kind of the thought leadership around digitising and what it takes to do, because it's not easy. We understand it's not easy, but we're definitely accelerating in the last 2 years and had our strongest year. I think we grew by 50% in the last 12 months.
Well, fantastic. Well done. So how do people find you? What's the website?
www.symphony3.com.
And you're on LinkedIn as well?
Yes, Thomas Hynes.
Yep.
Hynes.
Excellent. So thank you, Tom. I think it's fantastic. I just think you've definitely been at the forefront, haven't you? You've been in there automating, and now you can really enhance that offer. So that's fantastic.
That's exactly what
yeah, Tom, thank you. Even though it took 125,000 attempts to get you to coordinate a time, hooray, we've finally made it.
So
thank you, Bill. I appreciate your persistence, and I look forward to our next Guinness.
I know when I went to the rugby lunch, Fergal came up to me and said, I've warned Tom, Bill's going to be chasing you. And then it just so happened you're on the table next to me, so you couldn't escape. All right, thank you, Tom.
I promised you would get it done, didn't I? We did.
You did.
He owes you a Guinness, Tom, or two. So anyway.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.